guys were central to my success in '98. We really did pull off a team victory there, and I want to, for that, I say thank you. I do want to say I know this race has suddenly risen to the top because I'm now accompanied not only by my campaign staff, but my soon-to-be friend with the Democratic Party who's here filming me. So I just want it. That's just the way the game is played now. It's not personal. He's welcome. I'm glad he's here. Just understand, we're going to have our guy with Dr. Barra and all that. So that's just part of how the game's played today. So Neil's gone. I don't want him to steal my thunder. Many of you know me, some of you don't. Let me just cover a little background for everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I am a former member of Congress. I served from 1999 until the end of 2004. I made a pledge when I first got elected to serve 3 terms and come home. And lo and behold, we got to the end of the 3 terms and I came home. I'm one of the few who did. So, and the purpose of bringing that up today, tomorrow, next day, is that when I tell you something, you can count on it. So when I came home, I went right back, picked up right where I left off. Went right back in the family business. I didn't stop my public service there. One of my first public involvements when I got back was I went over and volunteered as a crossing guard at my daughter's school. You know, I had to deal with angry parents who didn't want to direct their children and certainly didn't take direction very well from me. They hadn't had their coffee. Some of them were pretty vocal. Reminded me of my days in Congress. You know, it's like, wow, not much difference. So, while I was in Congress, I did a number of things. And everybody in this room benefited from it. Number one, we reduced taxes. Not just once, but twice. In 2001 and 2003. We also reduced regulation. In fact, in my second term, leadership appointed me to chair a committee on regulatory issues, where I had like 43 different federal agencies that I was responsible for oversight. Some of them are familiar to you, some of them aren't, but they included the Federal Reserve, the Department of Labor, the Fish and Wildlife Service, the Army Corps of Engineers, and on and on. And the purpose of that committee assignment was to make sure that those agencies were doing what Congress set out to do. In other words, they hadn't hijacked the agenda and gone off in a different direction. Well, let me tell you something, folks. Probably a surprise to many of you, but some of those agencies actually do have their own agenda, and they did hijack congressional intent and go that way. We called them to account. We got them back on the straight and narrow. You know, I come to 2014, and I look around at the circumstances we faced in 1997 and 98. And I'm no longer willing to stand aside. All right? I wasn't willing to stand aside when the county closed Gibson Ranch. I mean, think about it. Local government suffering from the travails of a poor economy, correlating to the presidency that Barack Obama, suffering from the travails of a poor economy, closed a 320-acre park here in Sacramento County, and then spent $200 grand a year keeping it closed. I approached them, asked them if I could rent it. They finally said yes after questioning not only my sanity but my ability. And ever since then, every single day, since April 1st of 2011, that park has been open without a single penny of taxpayer money going towards operations. That's proof positive. That's proof positive that more government is not the answer to every challenge we face. And that's a lesson I think the incumbent in this district needs to learn. The incumbent in this district campaigned for office in 2010 on the basis of implementing Obamacare and implementing the rest of the president's liberal agenda. He campaigned in 2012 on the same basis. And since he got elected, he's voted 10 times to protect Obamacare from any change whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, Obamacare needs to be fixed, repealed, replaced, whatever it is. Call it anything, whatever you want, but it's not working and it needs to go. I I'm running for Congress because I think the government can be held accountable for the promises it makes, the money it spends, and the results it delivers. And the promise that the president made, that you can keep your doctor, period, is not true. And I intend to hold him accountable for that. And I intend to hold Congressman Barra accountable for defending that untruth. Hey, Bill.
I know, like,
Right. Let me finish my remarks.
and to meet some of the people.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bill McLaughlin. I have known Bill and his family for
A long time.
50 years.
Your dad worked with me, believe it or not.
When my dad was younger than both of us, he worked with Bill in the real estate business. So, Bill, nice to see you. Thanks for
I'm
coming.
sorry, I have to
That's fine. That's fine.
see you again. You
All right.
dropped off.
Thank you, Bill. It seems like wherever I go, I run into somebody I've known for 50 or 55 years. So,
Is that the time you're getting old?
are you that old? I'll get back to you on that one, okay? 55 is not old. So, anyway, as I was saying, I think you can hold government accountable for the promises it makes, the money it spends, and the results it delivers. And that's why I'm running. I happen to think that a member of Congress from this area needs to represent this area. Instead of being beholden to all the moneyed interests across the country where he's getting all his money. Did you know that Congressman Barra has collected over 65% of his campaign account from people and organizations not from this area? Who do you think he's going to represent when push comes to shove? It ain't going to be us. It's going to be those moneyed interests who call him to account for, we gave you $5,000, you better vote for this kind of thing. I intend to hold Congressman Barra accountable for that. I intend to make him explain. Why is it he's so beholden to all these other people? Why can't he get contributions from this district? How come I'm outraising him in this district? Those are the questions that need to be asked. Who's speaking for this district? Who's speaking for these people that live here? That's why I'm running for Congress, because somebody needs to and nobody is right now. Now, I'll be happy to take a couple questions. I do want to, just a second, I do want to cover a couple things. Number one, I've heard the myth that this district is not winnable for a Republican. I've heard that myth. I heard that myth in 1998 too. People running around telling me, this registration here is 43-38, Democrat to Republican. You got no chance, man. You need to go home. All we did was show up for work every day and make our case to the people. And we won. We won this district 53-47 in November of '98. So a Republican can win this district. And by the way, the registration in this district at that time was 43 Democrat, 38 Republican. The registration in this district today is 39 Democrat, 37 Republican. Heck, from where I sit, I'm 3 points better off already. So finally, I want to close with a couple things. Number one, I get fired up coming to organizations like this where I kind of cut my teeth on national politics. I was listening to the song, it was Darius Rucker talking about that song about traveling down the Atlantic seaboard, going to see someone. I was just kidding. The guy behind me was kind of wondering, what is that guy doing, man? So my point is that when we come to the marketplace of ideas, when we talk about what things Republicans advocate for, lower taxes, jobs for our kids, stable economy that's growing, freedom to pick our own doctors and our own health insurance programs. When we talk about those things, we connect. And that's what we're going to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I come tonight to ask you for the same thing I asked you in the spring of 1998, which you were very gracious to provide. And that is, I've come to ask you for your endorsement and your support in this race. We can win this race. We can retire Ame Barra. And we can put a Republican in office for the single most important reason today that exists. And that is to put a check on the awesome power that Barack Obama is attempting to implement through executive order after executive order after executive order. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Campaign 2014. It's on. Let's get at it. I thank you for your support. I ask you for your endorsement. I look forward to seeing you on the trail. I'll be happy to take any questions. You don't get to ask any questions.
Oh, come on.
Yes, sir.
Well, everybody here knows my primary issue is the Second Amendment. Of course, I've done my research like I do on every candidate, and you've got a lifetime rating of a D from the NRA and an F from the Gun Owners of California. I'd kind of like to hear your side of it.
All right. Good question. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. During my tenure in Congress, there was absolutely no change whatsoever to the rights of Americans to keep and bear arms. I was part of the Republican team that made sure that didn't happen, that nobody infringed on your Second Amendment rights. The rest of it is all process. What you need to do is focus on the end goal. For instance, the end goal of, is our economy getting better or worse? Are your Second Amendment rights being protected or are they being eroded? Do you suffer more regulation today than you did a year ago or 2 years ago? And every single answer to that, when it comes to personal freedoms like the Second Amendment, there was no encroachment, no diminishment whatsoever in the ability of an individual to keep and bear arms by result of federal action while I was in Congress. I cannot explain to you the grades, because the same votes I took, other people took and got B's and C's. But the fact is that your Second Amendment rights did not change while I was in Congress. And I was part of the team that protected them. Yeah.
Mr. Ose, I wasn't in your district when you were in Congress.
Well, you should have moved.
But I am now, so
Great.
I had to go do some research to find out a little bit about you and the kind of things that, bills that you authored and voted on when you were in office. And I just heard you as you were introducing yourself talking about, it sounds like you are putting yourself forward as a limited government type of person, right?
Excuse me. I do believe in limited government.
Okay. So then my question is, one of the bills that you authored was HR 2138. It was in 2004. And it effectively, what you did is you wanted to give EPA a massive expansion of their power and virtually raise them to the level of a cabinet by the funding and staffing. So could you explain why you would?
You bet.
Especially knowing
You bet.
what's going on today.
Absolutely. Here's what's happening when nobody's watching. And let me tell you something. I have firsthand personal experience in this because I'm a landowner. I've been in the development business. I know how these rules and regulations strip landowners of their rights to use their land. So EPA, over the years, especially under Democratic administration, waltzes along as an agency with no direct accountability to the president whatsoever, because they're an agency. They're not a cabinet level appointment. I thought elevating EPA to a cabinet level would allow the president to directly influence, not through surrogates or third parties, but directly influence the affairs and the interferences that the EPA likes to impose on farmers and business people and developers and what have you. So yes, I advocated for bringing the EPA up from an agency level to a cabinet level so that that person had to be in front of the president every week explaining what kind of monkey business they were doing. I thought that would be the best way to put a stop to a lot of the monkey business that does occur under the auspices of the Endangered Species Act or the Clean Water Act or the Clean Air Act or any of the other hundreds of so-called pseudo-scientific environmental agenda items that exist. I want you to understand, I deal with the environmental issues every day. I know what's an appropriate environmental measure and what is beyond the pale. I know what's scientifically valid and what's make-believe science. And elevating EPA to a cabinet level, I thought, would go a long way towards eliminating the make-believe science stuff that a lot of the extreme environmentalists like to advocate for, and who coincidentally appear to be in Congressman Barrett's camp. So, great question. So, yes, sir.
Mr. Ose, you seem to be straightforward. So,
I'm also deaf, so you got to speak louder.
yeah, you seem to be a straightforward type of person, so I'll just ask my question, in a straightforward manner. Why did you vote to tax the Why did you vote to tax the internet?
Okay, tell the whole story.
So, sir,
Tell the whole story.
Why don't you tell us the whole story, actually?
Okay, the whole story is there were 3 bills on the floor of the House having to do with the taxation of the internet. The first bill imposed a moratorium for 1 year on taxation of the internet. The second bill imposed a 5-year moratorium on taxation of the internet. The third bill imposed a 99-year moratorium on taxation of the internet. Leadership and the people in charge of that particular issue made the case that 1 year was too short, that there was too much uncertainty left by only doing a moratorium for 1 year, and that 99 years was basically useless because any future Congress could eliminate it and change the law accordingly. So we voted down the first one, we voted up the second one, the 5-year moratorium, and we voted down the third one, which was exactly what the Republican leadership and caucus agreed to do.
I have a question. You're talking about leadership and following what leadership directed you to do while you were in Congress. In this district, we're looking for leaders to go to Congress and be leaders for what we care about.
Yep.
One of those things for me also, as my friend here next to me, is the Second Amendment. If I was running for Congress or any other office, I would want to know from the NRA or Gun Owners of America why I got such a low rating. It would be one of the first things I did to see if I could improve that. Have you done that? Have you talked out? Reached out to the NRA?
I have reached out to the NRA, I've met with them. I cannot reasonably explain to you how they came to their calculation because when I did meet with them, they couldn't explain it to me. I'm happy to meet with them. I don't have a problem with it. Happy to meet with them.
Is the internet tax the only tax vote that you voted for while you were in Congress?
A, I didn't vote to increase or to tax internet transactions. Let's be clear on that. All right? The Republican team debated this in caucus and went out on the floor and implemented a 5-year moratorium on taxation on the internet. The rest of this stuff, I don't know where your source of information is. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but the rest of it is just gobbledygook. The fact of the matter is, Republicans, including me, opposed taxation on the internet and implemented a 5-year moratorium on any such activity. Yes, sir?
I was going to say, you did have the option of voting no, correct?
Of course I did.
Okay, just making sure.
I also had the option of voting yes. And what I did is I voted for a 5-year moratorium to delay taxes on the internet. All right? All the Democrats voted for the 1-year thing because they only wanted to delay it for a year. I don't think you're asking me to make it possible to have taxes after 365 days. I think you'd rather have me lengthen that.
I think 99 years would have been a good start.
That's true in future Congresses.
Mr. Ose, thanks for being here tonight.
You bet.
First of all, and be out and about. And
Come on, Richard. I'll smile for you.
One of the, I guess, concerns that I have, one of my, I guess, sort of issues that I am interested in, I think, given the nature of where we are in the United States, I mean, it's also an issue that concerns all of us, and that, of course, is immigration. And I want to make sure that you sort of have a chance to explain something that I'm sort of curious about, and that is specifically your vote in 2004 to grant Social Security benefits to illegal aliens. Now, I mean, I don't want you to laugh at that.
I'm only laughing because it's not true, but go ahead.
Well, okay, and so that's kind of what I was interested in, was this is HR 3722 in May of 2004, according to roll call, and that's kind of where I'm getting my information,
Okay.
so that you know. But
Do you have the bill with you?
But yes, I carry that bill right in my car. But the reason I wanted to kind of give you a chance to talk about that is something like that, when that gets thrown around, that isn't initially apparent as to why someone would vote that way, and I know Washington is far more complex, as you know, than we know. So I wonder if you could sort of shed some light on that.
Okay, A, once and for all, Richard, get this on camera. What was the number on the bill?
3722.
Okay, if that's the bill that you're basing your attack and allegation on, I challenge you to show me the language in the bill.
Why are you looking at Richard? This is
Because
my
I want Richard to take this. I'm challenging you to show me the language in the bill that says illegal aliens will get Social Security benefits. You can't do it. I've read the bill. And I'll tell you the fallacy of this particular allegation. This is a bill that was essentially asked for by the Republican president. And it was put on the floor by the Republican speaker. And it was pushed through the Senate by the Republican majority. Now, do you think that the media would let Republicans get away with doing what this allegation says, which is extend Social Security benefits to illegal aliens? That would have been on every paper, in every TV station for months. So, the allegation is not true. There's nothing in the bill that says that. Yeah.
So I'm sorry if I sound a little nervous. It's the first time I've been to one of these functions, so bear with me. I'm from the Sierra College Political Science Club, and I was doing some research, and I found an article. You were formerly on the Republican Main Street Partnership Board of Directors while you were in Congress. And I was reading the National Journal, and according to them, your organization accepted over $400,000 from some left-wing union funds, who ironically also donated over $25,000 to Tommy Barra in his 2012 election. Saying to quote,
No.
beat the
Those
snot
other
out of
organizations may have given to Barra.
I can name the unions if you want me to. I haven't.
No, but Main Street Partnership didn't.
Yes, they did.
To Barra.
It's clearly documented.
They gave money to Barra,
No, the unions.
but not the group that I was
Our
part of.
organizations
No.
accepted donations from the same unions that donated to Barra.
Okay. Sounds like this is my night, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so Republican Main Street Partnership is one of the organizations like the Rural Caucus and any number of different groups.
Like the Republican Party here in the state of California.
Like the Republican Party here in the state of California, whose task is to help Republicans get elected. And yes, they take money from any sort of, not any sort, but a large sort of a variety of groups. Now, did they take money from unions? Yes, because there are Republicans from upstate New York or Ohio or Pennsylvania who are frankly representing union-dominated